Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Shri Radhe. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, 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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloki Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Good morning, devotees. Today, surprise, surprise, we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the verse we're reading is Hare Krishna. Okay. So Canto 4, chapter number 28, verse number 27. 4:28:27. So I'll chant the Sanskrit. Ananta pare tamasi mango magno nasta smiti samaha sasvati anubhayartim pramada sangadusita. Ananta pare tamasi magno nasta smiti samaha sasvati anubhasyartim pramada sangadusitaha. Anantapara tamasi magno nastasmiti sama sasvati anubhasyatim mada sangadusita. Anyone like to chant? 4:28:27. Whoa.
I'll give it a shot. Adantapare tasmasi magnodashta spriti samaha shashvatir anu bhu igartim ramada sangadu shitaha.
I think it cut out a little, Prabhu. It's at the end there. Sorry about that. Okay, anyone else? Going once, going twice. Okay. Okay. Word for word translation. Anantapare, unlimitedly expanded. Tamasi, in the material existence of darkness. Magna, being merged. Nastasmiti, bereft of all intelligence. Samaha, for many years. Saspati, practically eternally. Anubhuya, experiencing. Artim, the threefold miseries. Pramada, of women. Sangha, by association. Dusita, being contaminated. Translation. Due to his contaminated association with women, a living entity like King Pranjana eternally suffers all the pangs of material existence and remains in the dark region of material life, bereft of all remembrance for many, many years. I'll repeat it again. Due to his contaminated association with women, a living entity like King Pranjana eternally suffers all the pangs of material existence and remains in the dark region of material life, bereft of all remembrance for many, many years. Purport. This is a description of material existence. Material existence is experienced when one becomes attached to a woman and forgets his real identity as the eternal servant of Krishna, Nasta Smriti. In this way, in one body after another, the living entity perpetually suffers the threefold miseries of material existence. To save human civilization from the darkness of ignorance, this movement was started. The main purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement is to enlighten the forgetful living entity and remind him of his original Krishna consciousness. In this way, the living entity can be saved from the catastrophe of ignorance as well as bodily transmigration. As Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung, Anadi karma pale padi bhava vane jale taribare na teki upaya e vishaya hala hale divid nisahiya jale mana kabu sukha nahi paya. Quote, because of my past fruitive activities, I have now fallen into an ocean of nescience. I cannot find any means to get out of this ocean, which is indeed like an ocean of poison. We are trying to be happy through sense enjoyment, but actually the so-called enjoyment is like food that is too hot and causes burning in the heart. I feel a burning sensation constantly, day and night, and thus my mind cannot find satisfaction. End quote. Material existence is always full of anxiety. People are always trying to find many ways to mitigate anxiety, but because they are not guided by the real leader, they try to forget material anxiety through drink and sex indulgence. Foolish people do not know that by attempting to escape anxiety by drink and sex, they simply increase their duration of material life. It is not possible to escape material anxiety in this way. The word pramada sangha dushita indicates that apart from all other contamination, if one simply remains attached to a woman, let me read that again. The word pramada sangha dushita indicates that apart from all other contamination, if one simply remains attached to a woman, that single contamination will be sufficient to prolong one's miserable material existence. Consequently, in Vedic civilization, one is trained from the beginning to give up attachment for women. The first stage of life is brahmachari, the second stage grihastha, the third stage vanaprastha, and the fourth stage sannyas. All these stages are devised to enable one to detach himself from the association of women. O Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapita Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sabhajatan Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha Panchakal Patarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare. Okay, thank you everyone for tuning in today. We continue this narration of Ranjana. So I'll read the verse again. Due to his contaminated association with women, a living entity like King Pranjana eternally suffers all the pangs of material existence and remains in the dark region of material life, bereft of all remembrance for many, many years. So I don't exactly know where it's quoted, sorry, but yeah, I've heard that this sex life is the beginning of one's kind of indulgence in the other three regulated principles that we all know of, the main ones we say at initiation. So yeah, this sex life, in other words, opens up the door for these other ones. And I remember one devotee was telling me, you know, he was a devotee who struggled, and yeah, so when he was in a certain place, and anyways, kind of went to start his own preaching center, and then maybe got a little too familiar with the people he was preaching to, and yeah, ended up more taking on their association than, you know, the other way around. And he told me how, yeah, one day, you know, one thing led to another, and he very unfortunately engaged in, you know, this illicit sexual activity. And he was saying how, yeah, it was like after that, then, you know, somehow after engaging in that one, then he just had no reluctance, like in the days that followed, you know, smoking cigarettes, intoxication. Of course, I think there was some intoxication before that act, but yeah, and even went as far as meat eating. So he was saying how, yeah, once he engaged in the activity of illicit sex, then it was like somehow the other ones just kind of naturally followed. And we see here in this verse that a living entity like King Pranjana yeah. So here seems like it's saying a similar thing, that due to the contamination of association, due to his contaminated association with women, a living entity like Pranjana then suffers all the other pangs of material existence. So we should know that kind of word there, that due to his contaminated association, because of course association itself with women isn't illegal, sinful. Krishna even says, Dharma virya bhuteshu kamasmi bharatarshava. Krishna himself is saying that I am sex life, which is according to religious principles. He goes as far to say that he is that. But contamination, that's where we go wrong. And we see, that from this verse, we're seeing that it's saying that from that, then one suffers all the other pangs of material life. And of course, we know in this verse in the Bhagavatam also, Pumsa Striya Matuni Bhavam Etam, that beginning with when the man and the woman, come together and there's that knot of affection, the knot in the heart, then from that comes Griha Sutta, a house, kids, all these different things. And then one ultimately becomes entangled in material life. So we see, like, when I was doing traveling Sankirtan, when we would go around, and sometimes it's very cold, and if there was devotees in the area, then obviously we would try to stay with. So we'd be like, if you're in the middle of Wisconsin or something, instead of staying in a parking lot and getting up and taking a 20-degree Fahrenheit shower, we would ask around, see if there's any devotees, and a lot of times it was devotees who were in that college town, like working on their PhD. And it was funny because when we would go to the single man's house, and we would see it would just be a very simple apartment, just like one bed like that, and literally probably just had like a bed and a few pots and pans, and that was it. But then sometimes we would go back after he got married, and then it was a whole different story, couches and pictures on the wall and all this kind of stuff. So the ashram, it kind of evokes more of this kind of desire for expanding. So, but of course, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, that everything in my house, Krishna, it's yours. I'm doing it all for you. My family is yours. My house is yours. Everything, it's yours. And Prabhupada explains that, when the house is based on, when both the husband and the wife are focused on serving Krishna, then the house becomes like Vaikuntha. So from the purport here, we see how yeah, just Prabhupada saying that to mitigate the material anxiety, then they try to forget it because it's full of anxiety. Prabhupada makes this statement flat out. Material and I'm sure we all kind of, yeah, many of us don't doubt that statement, you know. Material existence is always living. And as we know, the reason most of us came to Krishna consciousness was that we realized this. We had full realization that this world is just a place of complete anxiety, and there has to be something better than this. So then, yeah, somehow or other, fortunately, we came in contact with Krishna consciousness movement. And Prabhupada saying that because of that, because the world is full of anxiety, then people try to forget the anxiety through drink and sex indulgence. So you got to watch out for that drink and sex indulgence. We were talking last night how me and Nagaraj and Nitai Prabhu, I don't know if he's here on the call, but we were talking about how, yeah, in material life, you know, you work so hard, your job, and as soon as you get home, as soon as you have some free time, immediately you're just looking for the bottle, you know, looking to get high on whatever. It's just, and it just goes to show, wow, this is how tough this material world is, you know. You go work all day, and because of the misery that you experience, immediately when you come back home, you're just trying to mitigate that misery. So immediately you're just looking for a way, ultimately, to just kind of like forget what you just had to do in the past 8 hours. And yeah, it shows, as our guru says, that material life means having to get intoxicated because of how miserable it is. So one just has to forget these things, you know. So this is the situation. This is the situation that everyone's in. If you're not a devotee, you're just, instead of as we sing every morning, Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sarayana Basita, we want to swim in the love of Shri Radha Krishna. They're just swimming in an ocean of material anxiety. And as we see in the 16th chapter, it's described that it's like an entangling net, you know. It's you're just completely entangled in material life, and it's almost as if you're caught in a spider web, and you know, you try to get out of the anxiety, but then you just entangle yourself more, and in this way you're just caught in this web of anxiety. And it's crazy. It's completely overwhelming. So because of that, then luckily there's not luckily, but it's just required for people to just take some intoxication to forget all this. And as someone was just, as a Grihasta was just describing to me recently, that nowadays things are getting harder and harder, and actually you just have to, it's like you have to work so hard just to prove your right to live. I think that's how you poetically described it. Because yeah, even he was telling me, even just to flush the toilet, you have to pay for it. Even to exist, you just have to work so hard just to how we said, to prove your worth to exist. You can't, if you can't maintain, then you're not allowed to exist. And that's why Prabhupada coined this nice phrase, the struggle for existence. So yeah, it's pretty amazing if you think about, we're struggling so hard, and what is it for? It's just merely to exist. So in that sense, yeah, the animals are actually doing much better because, they don't have to work so hard. These things are just kind of, they come for them. But for us, we have to work so hard, be in so much anxiety. And what is it for? It's just merely to exist. So yeah, this is the situation. This is the situation in this material world. But Prabhupada's saying here that even though you might think, okay, life's not so bad, yeah, sure, I'm working so hard and this and that, but because of this intoxication, then everything's okay. But Prabhupada's saying here, if foolish people do not know that by attempting to escape anxiety by drink and sex, they simply increase their duration of material life. It is so yeah. It's no free ride, There's no just like people take intoxication and they think, okay, I can just pay $5 for this little hit of whatever, and I can get these realizations and then become enlightened in that way. But yeah, it's there's no free lunch, and it's not so easy. These things don't come so easy. So it's not that one can just engage in sinful activity and there's no further repercussions. So as we know, these things, like in the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam, we hear all these descriptions that, if one does this in this life, if one does that, then one is ultimately bound to suffer in this next life for these things. So I don't remember exactly what it is for intoxication and things like that, and drink and sex life, but we know that these things will have we will have to pay for these things. So it's like the example that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati gives is that this is like material solutions, just like you're just moving the burden from one shoulder to another. So these things are still there. You're just just kind of transferring the weight, which, all right, it's nice. Sometimes, you need to maybe transfer the weight. But it's not making an ultimate solution to the problem of material life. And that's why Prabhupada's saying here that it is not possible to escape material anxiety in this way. So we know it's actually only by spiritual means is one able to actually escape this whole repeated cycle of repeated birth and death, the samsara chakra. And I remember having this realization one day before meeting the devotees, and I was reminded of this because I was listening to my Guru Maharaj yesterday, and he was saying this, how he went to college and he wanted to study. Okay, how he went to his advisors and he said, I want to study those things which will lead me to solving all the world's problems. So he studied this and that, and of course his advisors were like, okay, well, that's a very noble endeavor, and if you do find these things, let us know. So he studied this and that, and then even before meeting the devotees, he came to this realization himself that actually there's no material solution to all these problems. So I was reminded of this yesterday when I was thinking how I also I came to a similar conclusion that the world won't be able to change because people are just filled with greed and lust, and so how can you expect people who are filled with these bad qualities to actually be able to kind of like just turn these things off and live selflessly, because as we know, like the examples given, like a protractor, those things that you like, it's like a triangle, it's a little tool, and on one point there's a pin, so you put a pin in, and then there on the other side there it can attach to a pencil. You can that way you can make a circle. You can measure how big the circle is. So if you have 2 points, if you make 2 points and then you make circles around them, then those circles are gonna collide and conflict. So that's like in our life, when everyone has their own motive, then okay, obviously there's gonna be some problems, If everyone is just seeking after me, and my, what's best for me, okay, obviously, the circles are going to conflict. But if we have a similar goal, a similar point, then we can get along, Then everyone's just looking to, everyone has a singular purpose in mind. That's why it's interesting. That's why like a team is nice, because okay, if is greater than the team, then okay, then the team can kind of like get over their petty things, because they know, we want to accomplish the goal, and that's the main interest. So let me just put aside my personal interest. So in a similar way, I was before meeting the devotees, I was thinking, everyone has their own goal. How are things going to get any better? There's no way. And we have to have a similar goal, and of course, for that, in order to have a selfless goal, one has to be free from these propensities, lust, anger, greed, like this. So I realized, people have to be cleansed from within in order to kind of make any big changes in the world. Because even they have all these conferences, and okay, they make a solution. We just whatever, we get rid of all the cars or whatever, something like that. Well, okay, you might have like got rid of all the cars, but if those desires are still there in everyone's hearts, then okay, it might not be cars, but then the natural propensity to lord it over and exploit others is just going to come out in another way. So it's like in gardening, if you don't kill the weed, then the weed's just going to come back. You're just going to have to keep visiting it again and again. But if you take out the weed at the root, then okay, you can have a few days off, and not have to worry about that section for some time. So yeah, the desire seeds, that's why the desire, the seeds for the desire to exploit material nature, that has to be overcome. So yeah, it's just, if people just knew this, if people just woke up and people are they're trying to find what the solution is on their own. So, like people are here and there, whatever, sitting around and thinking, okay, yeah, this is the way we're going to make the world better. This is the way we're going to make the world better. But guess what? The Supreme Personality of God himself, he already knows, okay, how to make this world better. He's given a plan how to make the world better, how to solve all problems. And yeah, who is a better plan maker than Krishna? I don't know any. So it's wonderful, yeah. So everything's there chalked down. That's why it's nice Prabhupada saying here that to save human civilization from the darkness of ignorance, this movement was started. The main purpose of the Krishna conscious movement is to enlighten the forgetful living entity and remind him of his original Krishna consciousness. In this way, the living entity can be saved from the catastrophe of ignorance as well as bodily transmigration. So it's like in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, then Prabhupada saying, let there be one mantra, let there be one occupation, worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Let there be one book, Bhagavad Gita. And in this way, real peace can come about. Not that we're saying, okay, all these other scriptures are wrong and we have to disregard them. But as Prabhupada says that what's found in the Bhagavad Gita contains what's found in all other scriptures, all other religious scriptures, and then more, and then some. So it's just if one can do if one even does just an objective study, one can see, okay, yeah, what's in the Bhagavad Gita, what's in the Vedic literature. It has more, it goes deeper than what's in other scriptures. So in this way, yeah, we're not disregarding these things, but how many practitioners of other religious practices actually have this realization, okay, I'm not this body, life is meant for full surrender. They have some idea of it, but we can see by their activities, by their actions, it's not so effective. It's not so it's not a main part, It's obviously the point is not being conveyed. So, the few devotees that there are, then we have to spread these profound teachings to others. And like Prabhupada saying here, can free people from the catastrophe of ignorance. Yeah, I just remember when I first came to the movement and I read these things, like, the benefits of just like getting sprinkled with Charnamrita, the benefits of just like coming in contact with the books. Prabhupada says if they just read one word, their life will be changed. And I was thinking, oh my God, we just have to be out there on the street, just like with like super soakers, just like spreading, not Charnamrita, but like, the water that's used to worship the deities with. Like we just got to get the mercy out there, it's just so easy. Yeah, just go out, spread the holy names like this. And yeah, it's Lord Chaitanya's mission. It made it quite easy. He's made it quite easy to distribute this mercy, give people prasad like this. All these ways that we can really make a deep impact on people's eternal sojourn. So yeah, that's the main point, is that there's so many so-called solutions, but they're just kind of very temporary, very limited, ineffective ways, So better is if, it makes more sense just to make the ultimate solution to material existence. And how can that be done? Prabhupada's saying, can't be done any other way. You can't just escape it through drink and sex. No, it has to be has to ultimately be through coming in contact with these spiritual things, and practicing them, and then getting free from material existence once and for all. Okay, so I think I'll end there. If anyone has any questions or comments, they can feel free to do so now. Yeah, somehow I read the wrong. I thought it was the different verse that I was supposed to speak on. I thought Yasadeva said good things should be shared with others. Yeah.
I was just appreciating that story you shared about the story in the preaching center.
Oh, yeah.
It's just supposed to show the power of material association if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And then, that one regular principle, how after you break that, the rest is just like cake.
Yeah.
Very slippery.
Yeah, Jivapanit's just saying that was a story, the first one I shared about the devotee who started the preaching center. Yeah, I don't know where that verse is, but if anyone knows that, I'm pretty sure I've heard this, that sex life is like, leads to like engaging in all the other ones. And it's the nature of Maya, because it's just how Maya works is just starts off very small, I remember this devotee told me, this senior brahmachari was driving with someone, and so the senior brahmachari was in the passenger seat, and then this devotee was driving. And the devotee driving, he was saying, how does Maya work, How is it that one can become so entangled? And so this devotee, this brahmachari, he says, this is how Maya works. And he kind of he started to just tug at his shirt, just like lightly tug at his shirt. And then more and more, and then he just like, like yanked a little bit. I mean, it swerved out, but just like, swerved a little bit. And he was making the point that it's just, it comes in, it creeps in like that, Starts off small. Oh, yeah, it's okay, Can do a little this and that. It won't be so bad. But then it just gradually builds. So I've heard the example given of, if you if in your house, you have your basement and you just barely, just crack open one of the windows a little bit. You don't think much of that, whatever, I'm just, cracking it open a little. Okay, maybe I live in a bad neighborhood, but, just trying to get some air, so let me just crack it a little bit. But just by that one crack, then what can happen? Someone can come in, open up the window, come in your house, steal everything you have, and then you're going to be in real trouble, lose all your possessions. So similarly, just leaving our guard down, just leaving that window crack for Maya to sneak in, and everything can be robbed. So yeah, because Maya's doing her service, Maya's making sure that we're sincere enough to get back to Krishna, and she finds ways to test us, and she's expert. So most people don't just wake up one day and think, most people don't just go from 0 to 60 just like that, like, okay, today I'm going to be in Maya. It's just, oh yeah, maybe, whatever. Yeah, maybe I don't need to read so much. Maybe I don't need to chant. Maybe I don't need to come chant with the devotees like this. But then just grows, and then everything is finished. Okay, thank you, devotees, for listening in. I'll end there, unless anyone has anything else they want to say. Sorry, Abe, too late. Thank you very much. Okay. Abe, wants to say something. How can we deny?
Thank you for the process. Even at this point, we're just speaking about how subtle Maya is. This idea of recovery program for different addictions that it doesn't matter. It's just a little bit. I've been sober or whatever for a few years. So then, it's okay. I just tried again and I beat it, basically. To get this idea of pride that I can do it like regular people, like, oh, I've been sober for, X number of years or X number of time. And then you say, okay, well then I can like drink like regular people now, or I can, use whatever thing you're doing. I can watch TV like regular people now, but then it slowly declines, and then it's like drink one time and then, 2 weeks later you drink again and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So I was thinking that can apply to that kind of stuff too. It's like, we really need to get in our head that we can't touch Maya, because it'll get just worse and worse. And then all of a sudden you're, eating meat or something like that. So it's like, just an interesting thought how we think we can do it, but we have to get out of this mentality of, I have to get out of this mentality of like, I'm like other people, Bhakti Church Maharaj talks about that a lot when you say it can't be normal. You have to be not normal, like not with the flow of things, because the flow of things is Maya, like the rest of the world. So you have to be abnormal in the sense of you can't fall in line with other people. Just some thoughts of what else. Thank you for your class.
Great points. Thank you, Abe. Yeah. Navina Nirpuru says the same. Says you have to fly well above the tree line. So like, if you're a pilot, you're not just going to calibrate your flight to be like, 10 feet above the trees, because then any mistake that happens, you're just going to hit the trees and die. So he's saying, we have to fly well above the tree line. to keep ourselves very, very safe. Give ourselves a buffer. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. This transcendental sound vibration is going. Hare Krishna.